Big developments in President Biden's reelection bid. This afternoon, a second Illinois Congress member announced he wants the president to step aside. In a statement, 10th District Representative Schneider talked about his admiration for the president.
But says, in his words, the time has come, however, for President Biden to heroically pass the torch to a new generation of leadership to guide us to the future he has enabled and empowered us to pursue. CBS News Chicago's Skylar Henry is reporting from the White House for us as the president is preparing for his first solo press conference in months. Skylar, that's set to take place just a short time from now.
Absolutely, Jim and Marie, good to be with the both of you. And to call this high stakes would be an understatement, right? You talked about the latest member of Congress to say that he wants the president to step aside. Will the president be able to perform tonight? I think that will be the bigger question. And will he be able to sort of fend off many of those within his party from calling on him to do something else? As for what we are expected to hear from him, probably talking about what we saw this week here in Washington, and that was NATO and the leaders here and whether the president is fit for the job. But he'll also be asked about his mental health, whether he can serve for another 4 years, and whether he can beat former President Trump.
President Biden spent the day meeting with world leaders as the NATO summit he's hosting in Washington is coming to an end.
We are counting heavily on America's support in this. God bless America. Slava Ukraine.
We will stay with you, period.
All eyes have been on Biden throughout the event to see how he handles the rigors of the summit.
I have absolutely no concerns about the capacity of the current president of the United States.
But Americans themselves, and especially Democrats on Capitol Hill, will be closely watching the president's solo press conference this evening to see how he performs.
I think the president has to present a clear and convincing case to the American people, not only tonight, but in everything he does.
Senior Biden campaign advisors met with Senate Democrats behind closed doors to try to reassure them that the president can run and win. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries will be talking with the president himself to express concern some of his members have about the president's run.
We're continuing to have conversations with each other, and those have been candid, comprehensive, and clear-eyed.
A new Washington Post poll shows a majority of Americans and Democrats say that following the president's debate performance, he should step aside. But the poll also shows President Biden still running even with former President Trump.
We should also point out that in that same poll, it shows that in a head-to-head matchup between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump, it shows that the vice president actually polls slightly ahead. But we should point out that President Biden has said time and again that he is going to stay in this race. He has said so publicly on the campaign trail in interviews, and he said that he plans on finishing out this race. We'll see how his performance fares tonight and whether he can actually stick to that same sentiment. We're here outside of the White House. I'm Skylar Henry, guys, back to you.
Skylar, thank you so much.
Here's a live picture from outside the White House where the president and his aides are preparing for that news conference. We'll be carrying that news conference right here on CBS Chicago. We're expecting it to begin at 5:30. Watch for our special report from CBS News.